Hello, this is Jeff Byers, and this is Annie 235, Character Modeling and Rigging. And we are now modeling the clothes and character assets from the waist up. So I would highly recommend that if you have a lot of assets like what I have with this character, I've got some goggles, I've got hair, I've got a shirt, and I've got a couple things here, a camisole, I've got a leather wrap, and a kind of a technical device on her arm. So these are all things, and then I've got, now this would be considered part of the lower area, the belt, right? So you got to think about all the pieces that you have. Now you have to model everything that you have on your character. That means your character mood board. That's your go-to piece for modeling and texturing. So you need to not only have modeling references, but you need to have texturing references as well. I think we covered all that in Module 5. We're in Module 6, and so we're doing the upper body. So I'm only asking for 2. Okay, so we'll talk about that, but 2 assets. What could they be? Well, they could be the hair, or in this instance, they could be the hair or the goggles. They could be the camisole, okay, and they could be the armbands. It really depends. I didn't want to push you guys too hard, but you're going to have all of that stuff done that you basically have shown in your character sketch or your character reference in your mood board. So those modeling and texturing mood board that you created, that all has to be considered. So if I'm only asking for 2 and you have time to create 3 so you don't get behind, then please do that. But I'm only asking for 2. We do not want to have a bald head. So you could put a scarf on the top of her head, or you could put a wrap on there, or you could do a hat of some kind. But what we don't want to see is her just being plain bald, because then you're taking kind of the personality, unless she has a shaved head, which is perfectly fine. Some of you have asked me about that. I wouldn't say a lot, just a couple have asked me. But we could have stubble or something like that. I don't know what you want to do, but that's part of your character, okay? So we'll move down. This is my contact information. Please read that if you need to. And then our weekly schedule has not changed. The only thing I want to say is that don't forget about quizzes that are on Friday that start at 9 o'clock and then they end on Sunday at 11:59. Don't forget about your initial response to the assignment, the discussion assignment on Wednesday at 11:59. And of course, you don't want to forget to respond to 2 other students by Sunday at 11:59. And of course, we don't want to forget our module assignments. I always recommend that you guys start your weekly module assignments on Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. At least look at them and maybe kind of just digest what I'm wanting you to do. And then they're due on Sunday 11:59. Okay, so we all know what we're using for software. And then I do want to say something about the software. Okay, so some of you guys may have had some issues with the software. It's not like this is your first time with Maya, hopefully. And the questions that you may have about Maya, yeah, it does crash a lot depending on your system that you're running it on. We do have VPN, which is a virtual environment that you can connect to a computer at the college. So that's always available to you, so please keep that in mind. Module 6, basically what we're going to do is we're going to be creating the upper body modeling, or modeling the upper body clothing, referencing your model and texture mood board that you created for me. So that I haven't seen anything yet. I think a student had emailed me kind of what they want to do and is asking me some questions, so I got to see a little bit of that, which was fun. And that's what I miss about face-to-face, is I'm able to see you guys, what you're thinking, and then kind of going back and forth. That I miss, I do. The student will create at least 2 accessories for the upper body. We just talked about that at the beginning. So the accessories can include, and I kind of gave you, some of you guys are always kind of blank, trying to figure out what you want to do. If you don't want to do the hair, you're not required to do hair. But we're not going to leave the head bald, unless that's part of the personality of the character. Now we don't want everybody's head to be bald, okay? So I really don't want that to be happening. So again, please note, modeling texturing hair is optional, but you still need to cover the head with an appropriate object that matches the genre and the style of the character outfit. I do not want to see a bald head. I really don't want to see that. Okay? So please stay away from that. There's so many really cool things you could do to give that character some personality. So think of things, maybe some kind of a head cover would be more appropriate than just a bald head. Just give her some style, some personality, some depth. That's enough about that. You guys can read the objectives and the course assignment. Again, you guys could read that. Basically, we're going to model the upper body clothing and accessories, and I'm only asking for 2, so that could be the hair. We're not counting the eyes. The eyes you have to have already. So we're gonna be doing the eyes, but we're not counting the eyes as the 2. So it'll be the hair or something else, or it'll be something else like a wristband and maybe the shirt or the dress or whatever. And that's something else to think about. Now, if you do, let me pop back up here. If you do have a character with a dress or a short skirt, and it's not 2 pieces, then what are you supposed to do? Well, you're supposed to model the entire dress, okay, and just take image shots from the waist up, okay? That's what you'll do. If you have a bodysuit that is something like a power suit, right, or a sci-fi suit that's all one piece, then you model everything because you don't want it cut up. You model everything the way you want it to be done, and then you'll just show the character from the waist up. Okay? Alright. So let's go back. What other things? We're going to create eyes. That's not part of it. And if you do choose to do hair, which is highly recommended, but you don't have to. If you choose a headpiece or something like that, or a head garment or something, whatever you decide you want to do, then you will, even though it's really satisfying when you do get the hair done. It's pretty cool, but it is challenging. It's a lot of work. Don't let that scare you, though. Those of you that want to do hair, okay. But I would stay away from XGen right now, even though I've used it, and that's why I'm telling you to stay away from it. 1 week to get the hair done is not enough with XGen. Now, I'm not saying somebody couldn't, say they can do that, but you have to be very, very experienced. What I think the best way to say it is that if you're not experienced with Maya, you need to stay away from stuff like that because you might see it, and it does have some really great results. But the grooming, I've got experience in, the grooming takes forever. That means combing the hair the way you want it. Yeah, you can take XGen and grow hair within a couple minutes, but it's the grooming part that's really difficult, and it's really difficult to get rendered out nicely and looking realistic. So that can take days and days and days. So just remember that. Alright, so modeling clothes. Alright, so where do we start? Well, we start with the base figure, okay? The base figure has to be a low poly figure, okay? Some of you I've already complained that you don't have a low poly figure. I'm not exactly sure why or how that happened, but you need to have a low poly figure. Now, if you're stuck in a spot now and we're 6 weeks in and you do not have a low poly figure, you're going to have to reach out to me, okay? Now, I'm not just going to give you the figure without having some kind of, I don't want to say consequence, but you're going to have to basically take a grade hit on that, because that everybody else had to do a low poly figure. Now, the only time I asked you to do a high poly figure was when you render out your stuff, but most of the time I don't ask for that. Most of the time it's just low poly stuff, okay? You always want to have a low poly because when you're doing clothing, having a high poly character, you're never going to get that clothing right, okay? Because it just will not. It'll take you forever to move the vertices. You're gonna be forced to use the sculpting tools, which some of you like to do anyway, and that's fine. But just remember that the end result is that we have to rig the character, and we haven't even gotten into rigging. And if you have a really super high res model, it's going to be very hard to paint the weights for that model. Okay, so there's a reason why I have you save your low poly figure. Okay, so again, I'm happy to release a low poly figure for some of you guys that are stuck, so you can move forward. But keep in mind, I'm not doing the eyes, and I'm not doing the clothes, and I'll send this out, and there's going to be a grade hit that will, if I send that out to you, and you'll have to understand that, okay? And most of you won't be willing to do that. So what you can do is you just go back and remodel, and do what you got to do. Otherwise, I can send it to you, and I'm not going to tell you what the point is going to be off. I haven't decided yet. So if you need it, you let me know, and I'll get that out as an announcement, okay, for everybody. So the Module 6 course assignment basically is what we just talked about. Okay, we're going to work with the eyes first, okay? So I couldn't help myself. The eyes have it. Sorry, my sad attempt to humor. But here's the anatomy of an eye. It's always important to know the anatomy of the object that you're creating, especially an organic piece. And the main aspect of the eye is the cornea, as far as modeling. So we'll create a sphere, and we'll use soft select tool to pull that out a little bit. And we're going to make some topology changes to the front, and then we're going to create another sphere inside, and we're going to create the iris and the pupil. Okay, so the anatomy of the eye, talk about that, so please look at that, read that lecture. And then the modeling the eyes videos here, so you should be pretty confident, and once you get that done, to place those eyes in there. And then you're going to start modeling, and here's my character here that I've got the hair all done. And I did this by hand, and the funny thing is, last year when I was actually doing this and creating the hair, I've done several types of hair cards, and I like them. I think they're a lot more fun, and I've used XGen before, and I get results, but this is way faster than XGen. And then I found a program that does hair that's really pretty amazing, and it's just this one down here. Is this one here. Again, I don't support this, and I'm not a master at this program. In fact, I only used it once, but I see a lot of really cool stuff coming out of here. It's called Vroid, okay, and I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but anyway, that's a really cool. It's basically, I think most of you know about it. I'll be surprised if you don't, but because it's anime based, and they do these anime avatars, which is, I looked at it, it's like, this is pretty cool. I mean, this is pretty neat for free. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So this guy takes you through modeling the hair, and it looks like it's really pretty intuitive. I wish Maya had something like this. Where it puts the hair cards on for you, actually draw them out, which is really amazing. It's got this cage on it, and you can kind of move them around. But anyway, watch the video, and you can find the software here. I'm not pushing for it, because normally I just do hair cards because I can really control what I want from this. This is Jansen Turk, who's just amazing at doing hair cards, and he's really got it down. It looks really good. And here's just kind of a description, how you basically do it. And the first thing you want to do is you create that. I mean, this is like a crazy amount of hair cards. I mean, this is very intricate, and there's a lot of work involved in something like this. But it looks really, really realistic when you get it all finished. If you do it right, it's pretty amazing, pretty amazing. And so hair cards are low poly. You don't have to worry about hitting a RAM issue with your computer. XGen, if you don't have enough RAM, you could cause it to crash, and Maya has crashed with XGen a lot. So that's another reason why I use hair cards. They look just as good, if not better, and I can really groom it much faster using sculpting tools and some other tools, like the soft selection tools. So I tend to be more towards this. And you can see that when you create one of these, you can do it one of two ways. You can go in here and basically go in and take a straight polygon that's subdivided, right? And you don't want too many subdivisions, and then you hit the 3 key, and then you can move it around with the soft select tool and just kind of move it around the head. That's what he does. So that's probably the easiest way. Now then there's Vroid that just blew my mind when I watched it the first time. And it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I wanted to show you that. I don't support it, meaning that if you have questions about it, I can't really answer. And there's plenty of tutorials out there to help you if you need help. But if you email me, ask me, hey, I got a problem with Vroid, I won't be able to answer your questions. I really don't know enough about it. But I did want to share that. That's another way of creating it. You can bring it into Maya, then you can texture it and stuff. Okay? So if you get all that done, then you're ready to show off your model. And this is kind of a example here of how I want your renders to look. And in fact, I'm going to share my my lighting rig for with you guys. Okay, and that lighting rig is down here. You can see there's some videos here too about how to extrude clothing. Here's another video here you guys can watch. There's another one about sculpting and adding wrinkles if you're interested. Again, I'm not interested in a high poly resolution model. Okay, so if they ask you to do a high res, you need to always duplicate your low poly. In fact, I would probably have 3 or 4 of these low poly characters, and all your clothing have 3 or 4 different copies in layers in case you make a mistake, okay, of your low poly. You got to have your low poly. I can't stress that enough. And then down here we've got the grading. How am I going to grade you? Well, basically over your renders and you giving me 3 file formats, okay? And then I've got a very intricate turn-in instructions. In fact, this is basically goes through lighting too, which I use a lighting system, and I'll put that in here. That lighting system in here if you need that. And I did accidentally. I want to raise this to you that don't get turned off right away when you hear me say it's ANI 150. It's not. That was a mistake. That it was just in my head. I said it. But this is ANI 235, and that's the video. So don't worry, you're not watching the wrong one. Okay. All right, and of course the deliverables. You watch the video, and it takes you through the entire process of how I want you to deliver this to me, and all the screenshots. I take you through how to do the screenshots. Again, you guys are at a point now. You kind of know what I want, so just make sure you watch it. And anyway, good luck this week, and have a great weekend, and I will see you guys in Module 7.